Hi friends, today I thought we could take the time in covering the upcoming gold palette from Natasha Denona. This is the original gold palette that is no longer available. It was discontinued by the brand. And funny, Natasha went on an IG story to say that the brand leaked the upcoming golden MIDI and as well as the highlighter trio and the glimmer gloss. That was a mistake, and apparently it will release in 3 weeks or so. But we have the photos and people were saying they're repeats and okay. The point is that it has repeats because this palette has been discontinued and Natasha wanted to release an upgraded, more better version of the gold palette, and I wanted to go over the shades that we know and have identified the ones that are already existing in the discontinued gold palette. And thank you to Enamor for listing out which ones were in the old gold. There's one in the star palette and one in the number 10. 4 new shades coming up. Now we can probably take a look at the shade names, but we are unsure, or I am unsure at this point, if there are changes to the formula, because this is an older formula that exists in the old gold. And not only do we or are probably expecting formula changes, but the layout completely different. You can see that the gold palette is exclusively all without the teals, right? Focusing on just that gold concept. And that's expected because the teals and the lime chrome types of shades, the Aurora, Brass, and Python shades, we could probably already find in Yucca. In terms of vibe, Zendo. You could probably find some of this in Metropolis. I am waiting for another Metropolis moment. Natasha, I do think that is Natasha's greatest palette. It is a masterpiece in my eyes from all the eyeshadow palettes she has created. That's probably going to be standalone. I don't think we'll ever see something like that again. My second request is to have a MIDI version of the star palette. At one time, this was Natasha's favorite palette until she released My Dream, which were her like ideal eyeshadow palette. A lot of shades, actually a few from Star and others from different palettes. But that is the premise of the video. So I have the list. We got the old gold. It's time for you to come in a little closer. If you're wondering what I have on the face, I kept it basic and slapped on Natasha Denona's Tan Bronze and Go Glow and tapped on Suqq's Cream Touch Blush and Lip in SO1 Kamitsu, which is like a beige. I'm giving beige today. I thought it was very gold appropriate, don't you think? All right, let's get cracking. I have everything in my notebook, and I'll also pop the image next to me just so you can have a reference. Now, we have 4 new shades that are coming up in the new gold MIDI. 11 are from the discontinued original gold, 1 from the star palette, and 1 from number 10. So here is a quick look at the gold palette and a brief history, if I may. The gold palette and I initially didn't get along as well as I would have liked, and that was on me because at the time, deep into beauty YouTube, I think a lot of influencers were using a lot of Morphe, and every time I saw them apply makeup, specifically eyeshadow, they would use 2 to 3 or maybe 4 mattes at a time, and I was influenced in that technique for eyeshadow and very much applied that same technique to all eyeshadow palettes I encountered. But Natasha Denona has her own unique approach to eyeshadow. That's why she's in the lab cooking all the time in terms of the different formulas and textures she likes to conjure up that align with how she applies eyeshadow and what her technique is. That lives in her palettes. And these mattes, which when you apply them, they do have their own distinct undertone, but because I was following the beauty influencer approach in applying 10 mattes at once in my one single crease, I was unable to identify these different nuances. Because if you apply these 2 mattes, for instance, like one color on the crease and then one on the outer lid, there's not going to be much distinction, right? That's why I feel for the gold palette and for all of Natasha palettes, if you like, that you stick with one matte, really sink into the undertone, and then you pair it with another metallic or topper-like shade that will enhance that tone of the matte. And you can definitely see the difference if you were to apply this shade versus this shade with the corresponding metallic, thus creating variety within the same palette. Because once you start cocktailing, I think, far beyond what's necessary. This with this, you know, that's when it's like, why have 15 shadows where all the looks appear the same? You have to hold yourself back in focusing on one or two at most mattes at a time and embracing what those colors bring. Get into that vibe, and then you can move on to another combination. So first we have Miko, which is a new shade. Tough to I'm predicting that's going to be a matte. It might be like a light ivory beige matte. Nubia looks to be a metallic, or it could be the new wet or newer wet effect formula that Natasha introduced in her I Need a Nude palette. Pana could be more of like a satiny texture, the softer texture, albeit not as twinkly as the wet effect or sparkly as a metallic, but I don't think a matte. All right, first repeat we have is Aria. Aria is found here, row number 1 from Gold, and my goodness, I love this shade. It's like a neutral beige. It has like that brown tone to it, but it's not warm. You know what I mean? Next we have Varus. Varus here on the photograph is giving a little more of a hardy bronze, whereas Varus here in the original Gold, this I consider to be one of Natasha's best formulas for metallics. Creamy, soft, silky, beautiful shine, but unsure if Varus in the new palette will take on that same finish, if it's going to have that same metallic finish or more wet effect or duochrome. Not duochrome, what does she call it? Chroma crystal something something. Is that still in the cookbook for Natasha? I'm not entirely sure. Aura from Gold, where are you? Yes. Oh, well, hello? Or excuse me, Aura is not from Gold. It is from number 10. This shade here, which is, it looks white in pan, but it's like a white base with a gold flip. It's a pearly white. On the photograph, however, hard to make that distinction. It does take on the same pearl shade in the photograph, but unsure if it's going to take on that same formula. I highly doubt it. I think it might be tweaked formula-wise, given that this is from her number 10 palette, one of her older curations from the eyeshadow palette portfolio. Next up, we have Teak. Teak is definitely found a second matte we're encountering, as opposed to Aria. This is going to have a little more depth. Here we go. So that's going to have a little more depth, still neutral though. And this is what I'm saying. Maybe you could combine these, right? Get that through the crease. And I'm speaking from my complexion point of view. I am considered medium, maybe medium tan if I get a little bit of a tan. That through the crease, and that to provide a little bit of depth on the outer corner, but that's as much as I would go in terms of cocktailing different mattes in here. Kava is found in Gold, but from the looks of the photograph, not the same shade. Kava in the original Gold has this ivory base with gold reflex, whereas Kava judging from how it looks in the photograph, might be a lime chrome situation. Maybe that's going to be some like a duochrome going on, because this is Kava from the original palette. It's serving more as a topper shade, right? Super light base, but beautiful twinkle. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. Next up, we have Sandstone, again from Gold. Third matte we are encountering so far. Sandstone, compared to what we previously swatched, let's see here. Compared to Aria is giving more of like a beigey neutral brown, and Sandstone is more of, there's a little more yellow in there, because I think Natasha wanted to correspond with Dijon. We don't have a Dijon, unfortunately, in the new Gold. I get it, because if you are omitting the teals and the limey chromes in here, I guess it makes sense from that point of view to not have a mustard leaning matte. But ooh, Dijon is so gorgeous. Next up we have Aurum. This is Aurum from the original Gold, and I think we might get a new Aurum formula color. It's giving wet effect. It's giving texture in the photograph. So we might get a different color, maybe the same color, but a different effect, right? A little different from, what was this one again? phosphorus, maybe not as metallic-y. I don't know, we have to wait and see. Our fourth matte log, again from the original gold, could be the same, but sometimes these photographs are saturated or the saturation's turned up, but that's going to be the darkest brown from the original gold and what appears to be will be in the golden palette. I keep saying gold, but it's officially called the golden palette. That will add depth to any of these mattes here, and I think best just to rely on log to provide that depth and not have to mix two medium mattes together. Just one medium matte and log and you'd be all good to go. Oro from original gold, more of like an antique gold, and from the photograph it could be more or less the same, or it could be a duochrome moment. Maybe there'll be an opportunity for a flip in there. I think so. Kava has the capacity, as well as Nubia. Nubia looks to be like a potential duochrome moment. If anything, Oro might be the wet effect moment. One of the wet effect moments for the golden palette. Moving into Star for the last matte of the palette, we have Flesh, which can be found here. Where is she? Here we go. On this first column, neutral beige. Yes, that's practically my skin tone. That will serve as, you know, just on the lid, or perhaps to blur out the crease, or to blur out any of the other medium shades that turn up medium on my skin tone to blur the edges. And lastly, we have Alchemist. Now, Alchemist could be similar to what's found in the original gold to what will be in the new golden. That's a gorgeous color. My goodness. So this is basically, with a few tweaks, what the new golden's gonna give you. Like Kava looked different, that was giving more gold. And Aura from number 10, I feel would be like the topper moment. I don't think it's gonna take on the same characteristics. That's how it's found in number 10. Those are my predictions. As for the golden highlighter trio, I'm excited for this because I do enjoy highlight shades to be used as bronzer, and I know bronzer types of products usually come in matte form, whether it be liquid cream or powder, to be placed onto the hollows to create that sun-kissed effect. But I do think it beautiful to have these products with a pearl finish, and given Natasha Denona's history with highlighter products, she has quite a few different formulas in that category for her brand, and I can only imagine using these to kind of sculpt the cheeks in a very bronzy way or a golden way. I thought about her old gold. Remember this? The Glow Gold Highlighter Duo. People did not like this product. It was a limited edition release, I think, for holiday with Gold Mini, and the Gold Mini had like the more olives in there. I like this product. You know why? Because it's hard to see. Let me set this up. You need a cream base or something to be applied on your cheekbones first, because this is more of like a topper moment. You see the reflectivity, very little on the base color. It's more so to create that twinkle effect. If I were to grab, maybe it will have to be a little bit of a stiffer brush so I could pick up ample product. If I were to go in with the light side and tap with what I already have going on, you see, whoa, it's definitely going to give you more of that twinkle effect, and again, works best on prepped skin with some type of cream base that exists in her Tan Bronze and Glow. I tapped her Glow cream base here on the cheekbones, and that was already set up, and I followed with her Glow Impact Powder, actually, and then tapped on the Diamond Powder from the Shimmer Duo. I mean, come on, my goodness. Don't know, however, if the Golden Trio is not going to be this formula. We haven't seen something like this from Natasha in a long time, because I don't think this was one of her most successful in terms of purchase, right? It could have been successful in the concept, because myself and others truly love this product, because once you know or knew how to properly apply it and work with it, okay, enough said. But if you didn't, Just like how I really didn't grasp Natasha's approach to eyeshadow when using the gold palette. You see what I'm saying? Now that we've covered the swatches, I think it's time to just do a brief demo, and I'll keep it short where I'll focus on just doing 2 looks, using one matte and then the other. So I'll first start with Aria. And again, Aria was our more beige, oh my god, don't drop the palette, is more of our beigey brown matte. And on my skin tone, it's going to be on the medium side. Definitely still see some color, right? Okay. Now in this way, I would probably rely on log to create a little more depth. Now sandstone is the one with a little more yellow, and I'll apply on this side, so perhaps we can see the difference, if you can, on the footage. I know sometimes it's tough given the differences in lighting and how your devices are programmed to display color and all sorts. There's a little more shading on my complexion from sandstone, but you can still see some shading from Aria. Aria is just beautiful in terms of it kind of serving all on its own, where I can use it not only as the initial application, but just to feather the edges of any of the other colors here. With that said, I could go in with the old Varis and place that on the entire lid and rely on Aria to kind of finish that gradient that occurs. You could have gone in with Varis first and then Aria second. It really all depends. But I think Aria is a lovely shade to blend the edges of Varis with, because Varis in itself, I think, is going to be, for me, that smoky bronzy color that I can just use one and done all over the lid. Okay? And actually, I think I want to place Varis on the lower lash line for that smokish smoke. Or for an inner corner highlight, I could also use the old Kava that's already in gold instead of golden, but I'll use the original Kava anyway because I do like this twinkle translucent shade to provide that extra shine and pizzazz. And I'll tap that over Aurum and see how that gives it a little more sparkly arclet, and actually I'll whip it softly here on top of Varis. Now I'll apply log on the outer V for that little bit of smoke. And again, as I had described before, this is the best approach if you decide to buy the golden palette when it releases. I would highly recommend that you hold yourself back in combining all the mattes at once, that you apply them one at a time and truly embrace their undertone and how they appear on your skin tone, and then take it from there in pairing them with different wet effects, metallics, satins, whatever Natasha decides to have in golden. And if these mattes are consistent, meaning if it's the same formula that already exists in her discontinued gold and she is replicating that in the new golden, then you'll be fine. Because I'm not sure if you noticed while I was swishing how easy these are to blend. The color intensity, the smoothness, evenness on the lids, unmatched. Maybe when it comes to Viseart though, I'll give it to Viseart. And although this is not in the new golden, I am going to use Lime Chrome. I am on the entire lid because you can never get enough of this shade. Lime Chrome is a lot of fun. See what's happening? It's hard to see on this freaking camera. What I'm seeing right now is a lime flip. It's hard to detect. I don't think you'd be able, maybe you could tell from all the way over here that takes on more of a lime type of a gig instead of it just appearing gold. And reapplying a little bit of log on my outer V so we don't lose that color. And then on the inner part of my eye, is this in the new golden? No, Sparks is not. Sparks is not in the new golden, but what a lovely shade. And for sure, we'll use that on my inner corner because Sparks has beautiful sparkle, but fairly easy to pick up and apply. And I'm whisking it here, not only on the inner corner, but I would like to bring it up through the arc so it can sit on top of Lime Chrome. Yes, so we can have just that rainbow of twinkle. And I'm brushing across with log, a little bit of log. Whoa, we got smoky. It's okay. I always underestimate the capacity of a fluffy brush, of a crease blender for lower lash line shadow application. I do want to place something here on the very innermost part of this side, and I think, let's see, maybe Aurum, or did I do Oro? I can't remember. Let me do Oro to get that yellow gold spotlight feature here for eye number 1. And you know what? I'm tapping a little bit of log on my lash line for this side. I am holding back from winging it, okay? You're like, don't wing it, Alicia. I know, I'm listening to you. Stopping just at the edge of my lash line here. There it is. Because I just want to introduce a little bit of smoke. Yes, excellent. All right. Time to apply these lashes and I'll be right back. Here are the final looks, playing with the discontinued gold in anticipation of the new golden palette that is arriving in a month or so, just based off the leak message. I predict it will be one of Natasha Denona's best-selling palettes, given that it is a strong theme, much like what I would consider Xenon to be, very specific in terms of the inspiration, the color story, but you can't go wrong with the beigey browns and the neutral browns with the golds and the bronzes, and just the variety in terms of that specific category of shades. That's why I love the bronze palette. The bronze palette, by far top 5 for me for Natasha's midis, and to now have a golden midi, even though it is specific with the color story, I think it a little more accessible than other Natasha Denona midis. Again, with Xenon, as much as I love that palette, it's received a fair amount of critique because people felt, oh, the looks appear the same. Now, we might run into a similar issue with golden, right? Because we don't have Python and the teal and the lime chrome in the new golden, and these shades obviously create a distinction between the mustards and the beige browns is in here, but we'll see. Perhaps there'll be distinction made with the special effect shadows that Natasha most definitely will include in the new golden. It's just a matter of now discovering what undertones they are, how they appear on the eyes, and how they will perform when applied with the other shades. So there's a lot of things that we gotta, wait for, but this is pretty much, I think, the vibe that you will get from golden, because I'm definitely going to buy it, definitely getting the trio. I might even get the glimmer gloss. The thing is, I am beyond spoiled by Suqqu lip products, not just by the caliber of the formula, but the fact that they don't have a scent or a taste. I feel with lip products is either the scent or the taste that bothers me, and it's like, why would I want my lips to smell good? Why? Just don't have it smell like anything, taste like anything, and we'll be good to go. And the glimmer concept on the lips, I think lovely, especially for summer, to have that twinkle effect on the lips. I think sensational. And to pair it with the gold, which I know for sure, given that we have these newer formulas from Natasha, she went crazy, I think. Maybe we'll get a new formula. Again, the most recent was What Effect. What is she gonna call it now? Quartz, glass, quartz, something. Well, we will only know until we see it in person and try it in person. Let me know what you think down below, fam. Will you be getting the golden, or you'll just keep your old gold if you have it? Mine's still functioning. It doesn't smell, the shades didn't turn, there's no mold in it, my eyes are not falling off. I think we're okay. I'll see you down in those comments, and until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you in here again with another review tutorial, maybe another Natasha Denona top 5 midi after golden has been released and I could do the rearrangement and present my current top 5 faves. Take care, and I will see you again soon.